Hey everyone, it's Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and today we're looking at the Bavarian Demon Cortex. This is a gyro for RC airplanes, and while we've all heard of gyros for helicopters and quads, the concept of putting a gyro on a plane to me is relatively new. It seems pretty complicated, but the reality is it was actually pretty simple. It's easy to install. You don't need a PC, although there is the option to go out of this unit with a USB and change parameters in your PC if you want to do that. It supports up to 5 channels, and that would be 2 ailerons, 2 elevators, and 1 rudder, or you could do 4 ailerons and 1 elevator. And I thought I would shoot a video and just kind of talk about the unit, how to install it, show it installed on my plane, and then we're going to take it out to the field and fly it and see what we think. So let's get going. So the Cortex ships in a pretty cool looking box, not very large because the Cortex itself isn't very large, but it has mass to it. Then you get everything you need: adhesive, your wiring harness, USB cable, and everything's there that you need to get going. It also has a quick start guide, and the only thing that I didn't find in the quick start was how to set the gains, which I'll go over. Other than that, you can use that to set the whole system up. It's all you need. And then you see I have my receiver and all my servo wires connected to the Cortex. Just verify you have everything going the right direction in the right ABCD slots. And so the diagram helps explain how your servos are going into your Cortex, and then the Cortex wires are going out to your receiver, and these are corresponding, and you can plug them in any way you want. And then now let's look at the airplane. All right, I have moved my wires to the top so I can hook my batteries up while standing behind the plane. I've verified that my connections to my receiver is all correct to the Cortex, and I utilized a app on my iPhone to find a surface that was level with my motor angle, because the Cortex not only has to be pointing the right direction, which is the plug side should be pointing towards the nose, it should also be parallel to the airframe, but it also has to be the same level as the airplane. And I figured the nose and the motor would be the best way to determine that. So by using my level here, I think I've got everything just about right. So the next phase is getting our control surfaces talking to the Cortex and programming that. So I'm going to connect, and in that brief moment 2 red flashes will appear, which we'll probably miss as I pan down with the camera, and we'll start the process. So my 2 red just went on. 1, 2, right, hold, aileron. Left, hold, aileron. Up, elevator, hold. Down, elevator, hold. Right rudder, hold. Left rudder, hold. And I'm out of it. So I've got my bind here, by the way. You gotta have the bind to do this. So next I'm going to pull the bind, repower, and then we'll look at the switch and how it's controlling the Cortex. So we just turned it on. It's flashing to stabilize, and now it's a solid red. The reason it's a solid red is because in the middle, that is off. Red is off on the Cortex. Up, amber, that's your normal mode. This is what you would fly around in usually. I'm going to come back down in the middle. We're off again, and then all the way down is hold. And the word on the street is hold is really only for hovering, but I'm curious to see what else it can do. So now that is the complete setup. Everything should be good. Okay, so I have pulled the bind plug and I plugged it back in. You want to keep the plane still for 6 seconds, and that's for everything to initialize. You want to keep it absolutely not moving. Failure with the initialization will result in a flashing orange light. So that's when you know if it didn't work. So just unplug and try again. But when you're good, then you'll get into one of your modes. We're in the amber mode right now, orange mode, which would be the standard gyro flight or the normal mode. And then you can go to off, which is red. So now there's no gyro. Or you can go to hold, which would be for, it says for Harriers, but everyone says it's pretty much just for hovers. So the next phase, you definitely want to do this before you take off. And I am at the stock setting, so I haven't tweaked anything yet. But what you want to do is check your gyro direction. And so how you do that is you tilt the model on each axis, and then the corresponding control throw must act against the tilt direction. So we're in the hold mode, which is the most radical of the modes. So it'd be easiest to see here. So if we go, get off my rack here, get everything level. If I go nose down, the tail goes up. Nose up, the tail goes down. I'm going to get straight here. And then if I nose to the right, the rudder goes left. If I nose, alright, so we've got that going. Now we're going to tilt. I've got that and that. So to me, that all looks right. So I wanted to go over this because it was a little confusing to me. In reality, it's not confusing. I just have never really dealt with the gyro, so I had no idea how to set the gain. The gain is controlled by your switch. And your switch is simply a channel on your transmitter. This is a DX18. Your transmitter is going to be different, but the concept will be the same. So what I want to do is go into my setup, and I want to go to servo setup. And the way you're going to control the gain on the normal and the hold mode is you're going to find the channel that your switch is connected to and adjust the travel. So you can see here, you can see all my channels. If I go to my switch, I'm right in the middle. If I go up, I go to -20, and if I go to then that would be normal. If I go to hold, I go to 40. And so those are your gains. That's controlling the gains on the gyro. And so all you have to do is select travel, and then go to that setting, and then when I flip the switch, you'll see, okay, there's 40, so that's hold. And then to switch that, if you want more hold or more gain, you increase it. Less gain, you decrease it. I went to 40 on mine after a little bit of test flying, and then we're going to go back up to normal, which is at 20. I think I could crank that up a little more. 20 was just about right, but I am going to go ahead and crank it up to 25, and next time I go fly, we'll see how that goes. And then you get out of that, and that's it. That's how you set the gains, simply by the travel. So I also have this so I know when I'm in off, in normal, and in hold, and that's a function of the DX18. I'm not going to go into that part, but that's one little part that was a little confusing for me, so I wanted to include it here. So we got out to the field with my LamYak 60, an awesome plane, but man, it was blowing like crazy. 15 to 20, easy. So as you can see, that thing is taking the wind, and even in this Harrier, and this plane does good Harriers, it is rocking, not solid at all. And so we flew it around without the gyro, we just had it off, and then we activated the gyro at 20 and 40. 40 for hold, 20 gain for normal. And now we'll see what it feels like. So I'm flying with Jason Cole, who's a great pilot and a great 3D pilot, although he hadn't flown 3D in a while. So Jason is going into normal mode right now, so the gyro has been activated. And I don't know if the video really shows it, but it literally went from just being tousled by the wind to rock solid, as you can see as it flies by in this 15-mile-an-hour gusty wind. The up and down is actually me moving the camera, and then he pops it into a hover. And we have yet to go into hold. Now we're just testing out normal. you saw the wing rock initially, so I asked Jason to fly it back in at us in a Harrier to see how it looked. And it was noticeably different. And I mean, it's blowing out there. The reason I'm doing a VO on this is because we had a lot of guys in the background talking. But you can hear Jason say that it's pretty awesome. And so the wind, like I say, 15 to 20, and a profile plane is the last thing you want to take up in high wind because of that big fuselage. I mean, it will not be happy, and it's flying. So now we're going to go into hold, and instead of hitting hold in a hover, he hit hold in a Harrier and just locked it in. So now he's gone into the hover, and what he's trying to do is get the nose up. So he's in hold and kind of a high alpha Harrier, and he's not touching the sticks. And then I move the camera to show he's not touching the sticks. And then we pan back up, and it's just hanging there like a quadcopter. Some folks could say it's cheating, and sure, it's not natural flying, but it sure is cool. And I like options, and that is definitely an interesting option to have. So we're coming back around once again in 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, which you would never know it. And he's going to stick it back in a hover. And so at this point, he's only using the throttle to control the airplane. And when we pan back, fingers off. And it's just hanging there, just like it's supposed to. That's pretty awesome.
And then when you put it in that hover, it stayed?
Yeah, I'm not touching it right now. That's literally...
So there's the hold function.
No hands.
Oh, that'd be a good picture.
That's just smooth.
So the hold mode feels like it's...
The hold mode is awesome.
Finding... Wait, the normal or the hold?
Normal mode. Normal. Normal feels awesome.
I've got an alarm on those there for the batteries.
So it's time to land.
No, that's just the radio talking.
So that's just easy hands-free knife edge. I'm just holding a little bit of rudder and flying the elevator around, and the gyro's just keeping it rock solid. I mean, profile planes can be really twitchy sometimes,
especially in wind.
And that's about as solid as I've ever seen, especially in this 15-mile-an-hour wind that we're getting. So
how hard are you having to work that rudder to keep the nose up?
I'm just holding it just enough to stay level.
So in the corner, is it dropping on you?
No, I mean, you just hold just enough, just like you normally would. It feels like I'm normal flying here, but the airplane is just so stable.
Well, why don't we land it and click it up a little bit? Unless you feel really good about these settings.
Oh, this is perfect. This is
maybe
awesome.
It could be more perfect.
And then even then, this is still in normal mode. We're gonna bring it in for a nice Harrier hover. Everything prior to that assignment. After that,
Oh, there's my batteries. See how it lands. They say landing's supposed to be super sweet. Is it a lock-in?
it's awesome.
Think it's worth $350?
Definitely.
Ha! Wow.
You can only hear it on the ground. You can't hear it in the air. That's the way to learn.
Take the hands off when you're ready. good wind. What do you think the wind's at? 15?
That's 15 plus gust right there.
The wind level right there is a great testament to the fact that the Cortex does exactly what it says it will do, which is smooth out the way your plane flies. If you live in a windy area where it's always blowing, this would be a great thing to have on your plane because it takes away you fighting the wind and just allows you to control the plane. The hold feature was pretty sweet, but you know, Jason was in love with the normal feature. I flew it in the normal feature, and it's just like flying a very large plane. It's super stable. And if Jason Cole says that something is awesome, worth every penny, and a great way to learn, that's a big statement from a great pilot. I want to thank everyone at Bavarian Demon for sending me the Cortex. Thank Jason for meeting me out at the field and helping me test out this plane in these amazingly gusty conditions once again. And it's staying on the LamYak. I'm a big fan. You know, you see something like this and you're like, we'll see what we get. And it was everything that they said it would be. So I'm very happy. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope it's helped. Be sure to check out the review on rcgroups.com. And I'm Jim T. Graham with RC Groups.